Yes, welcome back. Now, we know this is a subject that I think we hate to broach because it really is heartbreaking. But it's been wonderful to see how the community of Cape Town has responded to what is essentially an emergency involving a life-threatening situation for these pilot whales. And sadly, the prognosis is not good, but it doesn't mean that we don't have a role to play. Wilfred Solomon's Johannes, who joins us from emergency services here in Cape Town, or disaster management rather, who I've been bumping into quite a lot over recent weeks. You've had a busy summer season, and now we move into winter. This is not a great story to cover, but it's something that certainly Cape Town has embraced. Fill us in exactly what is going on. We've got 9 pilot whales that have been stranded on Noordhoek Beach. Bring us up to speed, Wilfred.
Yes, yesterday morning, and at 20, we got reports from members of the public that 20 pilot whales has beached. And upon our arrival, we've established that already 4 of them were declared deceased. And it was very traumatic at the time because there was a lot of members of the public trying to assist these animals. And the situation deteriorated because we did not know for how long they were out of the water. It could have resulted in them stranded as a result of the previous night. And we try as best as we can and bring in the resources, and with the help of the community. They were a tremendous support to the city of Cape Town to assist us, to wet them, to dose them with water. And at the end, we could only rescue 6 yesterday. Luckily, the first one was during the early hours when we got there, to put one, to free them into the water that swam freely. And then afterwards, we transported 5 of them to the naval base at Simonstown, where we loaded them onto tugs of the naval base and taking them 5 nautical miles offshore into deeper waters for them to get acclimatized to the conditions again.
Do we know why this happens? I know it's not your exact field of expertise, but I'm sure you've been asking this question. Why do whales strand themselves like this, and when is it too late? It's great that we've been able to save some, but that really isn't always the case.
What we must understand is that this is not an uncommon phenomenon that occurs along the South African territorial waters. A few years ago, we had 40 whales that the city of Cape Town had to unfortunately cull or euthanize. And it's not only prevalent here in Cape Town, but it is a common phenomenon across the world. Yeah. And the normal causes of death or resulting in stranding is that, first of all, they could have been swimming close to shallow waters and they can't get back into the breakers, into deeper waters. Or it could be as a result of one of the head of the group, of the pod, that could have been ill, or one of the members of the group could have been ill. And they are normally very protective species, the cetaceans in itself. So they are very protective, and they will protect that particular sick animal and all along. And when that one goes navigate offshore and into closer waters and near to the shoreline, and that's when they find themselves in difficulties and they can't get back in the water.
No, it's been wonderful, you know, looking at the pictures, looking at the way the Navy has responded. You've had a lot of time with the Navy over recent weeks after the wreck out at Bloberg. But this really is the tragedy of it, is that anyone who does involve themselves, they're also going to have to brace themselves for the emotional fallout should you have to put these animals down, which, you know, with these mammals is often the case. Once they beach themselves, as you say, it can be too late for them already.
Yeah, what the city of Cape Town has done since the last stranding, which was a mass event, is that the city of Cape Town has reviewed the procedures, and we've got renewed our strategy and our institutional arrangements, how we work together, all 3 spheres of government, but in particular how we as the authorities can involve the public and volunteer organisations like the NSRI, which was tremendous yesterday, dealing with the animals, and they were caring, and we actually trained them how to respond to these animals, and we've got a special unit dealing with it as such. But what's important is also that we are now getting the public much more involved, because we don't have the huge public outcry, and make them understand that the critical or the golden hour is when they see that animals on the beach, when they're stranded, is to immediately call us, that we can dispatch specialised teams that can immediately take care and provide comfort to them and get them back into the water. And the other unfortunate situation which we must be aware of is that if they are out of the water for a long period of time, or a considerable amount of time, the chances of survival is very slim. And we have coached the process through the people that assist us, so that we have to make a determination later the day on the beach. Unfortunately, 9 of them were euthanized, and we had to unfortunately utilize a rifle to execute them. 6 were successfully rescued yesterday.
That's
but last
fantastic.
night, unfortunately, we got another call from our patrol vessels and from members of the public. They have spotted 3 whales that came washed out again near the Admiralty House at the railway station in Simonstown. So we had to put them out at 2:30 again this morning.
Oh.
So it's unfortunate. We've got patrol vessels and officers on the beat patrolling the shoreline to see whether the other 3 have survived. And we are hopeful that they will make it, because we did everything we can for them yesterday to save those animals, because they are a protected species and a very key biodiversity resource for the city, for the country.
Well, thank you so much for the hard work. I know it's a tough job on days like yesterday, so thank you so much for the effort that you and your team put in. Also, emergency services, the guys have been awesome.
Thank you very much.
Was Wilfred Solomon's Johannes filling us in on the pilot whales that have stranded themselves on Noordhoek. Massive efforts to save as many as we can. So if you, as a member of the expressive viewership, were out there doing your part, we thank you as well, and we send our condolences to those that have been affected by this. It is a very emotional thing to go through, but the key thing is, if you spot whales that have been stranded, act as quickly as possible. We all do have a role to play, but make sure you get in touch with the authorities that can deal with these things and have teams set up to do so. We're going to take a very quick ad break, then Elvis returns on Expresso.